one of the things we want to do right is to start on time and finish on time. So you are
That's
starting
it.
at 6 and we'll finish at 7. Hi everyone. Hi Abhishek, Akshay, Hardik, Malav. Thank you so much everyone for joining in. Those of you are live with us on Zoom and those of you are watching it on YouTube or Facebook. I'm Jatin. I'm one of the co-founder of ECHI. We host a lot of interesting, engaging meetups earlier, in-person meetups, now online meetups. In-person meetups have their own charm. Online meetups have their own charm, where we could have amazing speakers join us together. So we have Dipali from Delhi NCR joining in. We'll have Anurag will just be joining in from Mumbai. So every week we do this interesting startup growth panels where we pick up a very specific theme and have a great discussion with great founders. So today's theme is D2C brands, and we have two amazing speakers who are part of this discussion. So one of the things we want to do is that in case if you have any questions, you can ask in the comments, and probably towards the second half of the session, we'll bring you on stage and have you not just read out your question, but actually let you speak. We have Malav with us. Malav, if you can briefly introduce yourself. So every time the idea is to just get one or two folks who are part of the session to briefly introduce themselves. Malav.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jatin. Hi, everyone. So this side Malav here. So I'm working on particularly on creator economy, like trying to optimize the workflow of whole creators, starting from curation of their content to creation of it in multiple different formats and then distributing it. So majorly trying to optimize an end-to-end format, because like what I feel is like initially we started with influencer marketing, then we thought like, and also we also had an agency, so we thought there are tools, but these tools are very distinct and distributed. Nobody is trying to solve or give an horizontal solution, and that's what we aim for, because that would really save their time, and thus that time can be utilized for different things as well. So this is what
And
we are.
Malav, and what are you looking forward to from this session?
To be frank, like majorly D2C is like kind of our major target audience. So like just interacting with the panel members and hope so I can connect with them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Manav.
Yeah,
And
thank
we'll
you.
just get
Thanks.
started with our discussion. So friends, those in case if you have any question, you can ask, and later on we'll bring you on stage. So we have uh, Dipali with us. Dipali, first of all, thank you so much for accepting the invite. These events are possible only when people like you accept our invites and commit your time to engage with all of us. So Dipali, if you can briefly tell us a little bit about your background and about Super Smelly, so people get the context of a lot of answers that you'll give later on. Yes, Dipali.
Sure. Thank you, Jatin. Thank you for having me on this webinar. And before I get talking about Super Smelly, let me share with you that the most exciting part for me now today is the interactive session with the participants, because you mentioned that our participants today are either aspiring entrepreneurs or early stage entrepreneurs. And to me, there can be nothing more exciting than to be able to listen to and to be able to talk to the future thought leaders and entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So really looking forward to it. Coming to my story. So Super Smelly, I think the idea must have kicked off somewhere in 2019, but we launched operations in January 2019. So we are about a 2.5-year-old brand. And I say that, the idea may have been triggered due to a personal struggle, but it was the sheer math that startled the banker that I was back then. So I was a private banker and a mother when all of this happened. So being a mother, ever since my daughter Prashali was born, like any other millennial parent, anything that we would do for her was very well researched. And from her pediatricians to vaccination to the schools to be evaluated to diapers, pretty much everything we would research a lot. And I think I would not be alone in doing that, coming from a parent of today. And therefore, when it came to her skincare, I was very particular that I would rather err on the side of caution than to make mistakes. And so I had two golden rules. Every product that I would buy for her had to be number 100% toxin-free certified, which meant that it should not have any ingredients which can harm her today or tomorrow. And number two, that it should be specifically clinically and dermatologically tested safe for her age group. So when she was a little baby, I wanted it to be tested for babies. And today when she's grown up, I want every product to be tested specifically for her age. So therefore, for as long as she was a baby, there was no problem. We were spoiled for choice as parents. It is only when for my growing up baby girl who was into tennis and soccer, I wanted to buy a toxin-free deodorant spray and a face wash. And that is exactly when it dawned upon me that my baby girl is a part of a massive 40% of India's 1.39 billion population, which is also called as Generation Z. Yeah, and it includes tweens, teens, and young adults, where there is no brand, not a single brand making products for them. Leave apart toxin-free or certified or tested for her age group, right? Nobody was making any products for them. All the traditional and new age brands have been either catering to the newborn baby or her mother, or the very lucrative anti-aging category. But what about this huge space in between? And my partner Milan and me, we decided that if we don't do anything about it, who else will? And that is how the brand was born, and that's how the journey began.
Awesome. And what was those early days like? So you decided, okay, this is the problem I'm going to solve. Then what did you do then?
So, like I said, so I have a banking background, but before that, I'm also chemistry honors. My partner comes from a hospitality background, and therefore we understood that here we are building a new category and trying to build an FMCG brand where none of us, in terms of within the founders, we knew our strengths, but we knew that we needed mentors. Early days were meeting a lot of people, talking to a lot of people, and finding a lot of mentors, because we did not know marketing, we did not know FMCG, we did not understand digital performance, and so our early days was meeting a lot of mentors. Again, another very important part, which I think, especially for aspiring entrepreneurs, especially in this category, will come handy, was that we committed ourselves to working on the right product. We knew that we understand the why. We were very passionate, we still are, and so we knew why are we doing this. But it was very important for us to then get to these path-breaking formulations. It started with a deodorant, and we wanted to ensure that any product that I made, I wanted to be so sure that I should first be able to give it to Prashali, my daughter, then to anybody else, which meant that not just the Indian basics. So, unfortunately in India, there are only so many institutions that you can go to for certain certifications. And therefore we wanted to leave no stone unturned. And therefore we got a ton of, we built a process. So starting from our own negative list of ingredients to going to Safe Cosmetics Australia for the certification that our products are 100% toxin free, then to clinically testing and dermatologically testing them to be safe for this age group, to finding fragrances which are IFRA compliant and non-toxic. This journey was long, but I'm so glad we did this in the initial part of our journey, because that is how we could get to this breakthrough in this space of deodorants. In fact, that's how Super Smelly became the first ever brand, not just making personal care products for Generation Z, but we also became the first brand that makes 100% toxin-free certified deodorant sprays. So, early days were learning, understanding through mentors, and also getting to the right products.
Awesome. I have a lot of questions, but there are some questions coming in for you.
Already? Okay, interesting.
Where is Super Smelly operational? So like you sell India or you sell overseas?
So our primary distribution is all across India. We are a D2C and digital first brand. So you will find us, obviously you'll find our products on our own website, but also across all major e-com platforms. Nykaa, Amazon, Flipkart, Big Basket, you name it, and we are present there. Apart from this, just before we got started, I was sharing with Jatin that we had global aspirations. We still do. I don't know why did I say we had. So just before the pandemic broke, we had completed our listing with Amazon US and Canada. We were getting listed at Dubai, but because of all the challenges that we faced with logistics and exports, we had to stall that and put it on the back burner. So currently we are primarily only present across India, but we have aspirations to go global as well.
Awesome. And what is your product mix?
So I think I briefly mentioned about the product mix, but I'll tell you more. So we have fragrances. Our product suite consists of about 27 SKUs. We have deodorant sprays, toxin-free deodorant sprays, 6 fragrances there. We have hair care solutions. We have styling products like hair gels. We have body care like, a moisturizer. We have lip care in form of lip balm. So yeah, spread across. Apart from oral care, we are we cover all the categories.
Awesome. So friends, in case if you have any more questions, you can keep on asking. I'll read out your questions. So Deepali, since we have some early stage founders who are exploring D2C space,
yes.
So there are, when you start, there are multiple pieces. What products? So there could be many products you can build, but you choose something specific, and we'll briefly share that story about a technology platform. In terms of distribution, you can sell it to everybody, but you would initially get to a specific target market and just try to figure out a distribution. So what was those pieces in your journey?
Okay, so Jatin, you asked a lot of questions in this one question. I'll try and address to whatever extent I do, and then we'll take questions.
Yep.
So, within the D2C ecosystem, we are very lucky in the last decade or so. The ecosystem has evolved tremendously. Today, there are global companies to local players who are full-fledged businesses, profitable businesses within themselves, and are enablers. And big enablers, especially for any small-time business owner who wishes to scale up. It is very difficult to have all the capabilities, digital performance, distribution, marketing. There are a lot of loose ends, but today the ecosystem kind of provides us an almost a plug-and-play model. So let's say let's say you want to build an e-commerce platform. From Shopify to WooCommerce to Magento, your last mile delivery, you don't have to worry about it. You will find a ShipRocket or a ShipLite, inventory, warehousing, marketing. So within that ecosystem, there are a lot of players who can, a lot of enablers that help you build that bit by bit and piece by piece till you achieve a scale where within your organization, you can build these capabilities and expertise. So I think all of this kind of really helps Super Smelly scale up also and continues to do so.
And what worked for you in terms of distribution initially? That you had personal reach, you had a community, or online platforms worked out for you?
So what worked for us, I think we are still in our initial years only, Jatin. What works for us is a mix. Our TG is all, young, and therefore, and digital natives and present digitally, and we reach out to them digitally. So awareness as well as acquisition happens online, whether it is, Instagram or Facebook, advertisements, but ROAS driven ads, or whether it was influencer marketing. All of this put together helped us create awareness, helped us with acquisition. We also very closely work with a lot of student communities, whether it is MUN or a lot of colleges. We very closely engage with them because we get instant feedback. We get to understand what is it that my TG exactly wants and likes. And this constant engagement helps the brand grow, not just awareness, but also in terms of understanding of this generation and their requirements.
Awesome. And so at the end of the day, every business is a brand, but in D2C category, they are specifically categorized as D2C brands. So why the name Super Smelly? And what was your positioning as a brand? What was your aspiration when you started up? After 2.5 years, what is it now?
So let me admit this for the first time. I must have been the most skeptical founder while keeping this name Super Smelly, right? But there's a process that we follow for everything. Here I was in my late 30s starting to build a brand for youngsters. What do I know about them? So we've always worked very closely with the youth. And I just mentioned we work very closely with a lot of MUNs, school and college communities. So when it came to naming the brand, there were a few things that we were very sure of. We were coming out with deodorant sprays. There are thousands of brands in that category. So if I had kept a name like Rhapsody, Insanity, I would have been 1 in a million, right? So we needed a name that stuck. You either like it or you hate it, but you will not forget it. Yeah, the recall had to be strong. And then we did a lot of A/B testing with our shortlisted names. And when it was shown to under 25-year-olds, Super Smelly just kept ranking above any other name. And we realized that it sticks, has great recall value, and it generates curiosity. People end up, they want to find out more, and that's exactly what we wanted. I wanted a name where I get an opportunity to then tell my story, that it is Super Smelly. Why Super Smelly? Because Super Smelly is super, and it is a toxin-free brand, and just for the young, and we tested specifically for the young, and that gives us the opportunity to tell our story. I don't think any other name would have given us that chance to stand out the way we do today. So thank God I took that call, and it's worked out well for us.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We have Anurag with us.
Hi, Anurag.
If you can briefly give your background and what is Pilgrim, so that people get context about a lot of questions that we will be asking you. Yes, Anurag.
Sure. Yeah, no, good to have Dipali as a part of the panel, and thanks, Jatin, for inviting me. I'll quickly run through my background. So I'm your prototype engineer MBA, which you find like a million in the country. So did my chemical engineering from IIT Bombay, worked for a year in software, hated my job. So if you have to get out of software, what do? You go for an MBA. So I went and did an MBA. Post MBA, what do? You go and work in a large corporate, and that's what I did. I did 2 jobs over 3 years and realized that ये long term नहीं हो पाएगा. For a couple of years, this was so this was a big change in my mindset, because when I was in my first year, and my seniors used to ask, what do you want to do in your life, and I used to say I want a 9-to-5 job, and that actually happened to me. So both my jobs were very, very cushy, and were not very demanding on time, and I had a lot of work-life balance and whatnot. But that got to me very fast. In both my jobs, I realized that I was not enjoying what I'd actually asked for. So God gave me what I wanted, and I did not enjoy that. And I got chatting with a batchmate of mine, and we said, okay, let's explore some ideas. And we looked at a whole host of ideas in the consumer space. The only thing we were clear is that we wanted to build something in the consumer space, because we both were marketeers and love brands. And we identified spas as a white space then in 2006. And 2007 we launched 4 fountains, and then 4 fountains went on to become slightly larger. Once we started, running salons, we launched a couple of other brands in the same parent company. We launched some Ayurveda clinics and salons. So I've been in the beauty wellness space for a fairly long time now, while these were more offline service brands. So 2007 to 2018, I was running different offline service brands in the beauty wellness space. Then I took a break for some time. In 2019 is when I was thinking about what to do next. And what was obvious was that what I understand is beauty wellness, and I continue to love consumer brands. D2C had already started happening in a very big way. And, I thought, why not look at the intersection of D2C and beauty wellness? And within that, was exploring different ideas. And then, so I'm a little structured in my thought process. So I would typically, put down things, put down pros, cons, bounce off with people. The MBA, unlike my engineering days where I did not do much studies, MBA kind of forced me to learn a few things here and there. And we, did some market research. We spoke to experts. Some consumer understanding was already there about the category. And we said, okay, let's, look at what are the white spaces in beauty. So we realized one big mega trend which was happening in beauty was that there were, like the way there is Ayurveda in India, there are also other beauty traditions in other parts of the world. And these beauty traditions were all going global. Ayurveda was going global, and other traditions from other parts of the world were also going global. So we said, is there an opportunity to capitalize here and bring these different beauty traditions to India? Because when they come in through the native brand, so if there is a Korean beauty tradition and when the Korean beauty brands come to India, there are 2-3 challenges which are there. One is in terms of the price points. The price points typically tend to be, they convert their US dollar pricing into Indian rupees, and they become very expensive. The second is many of them tend to be legacy brands. And what they do is they like to have a monologue with the consumers, telling the consumers what the consumers need. That's not what the consumers of today are looking for. They want a collaborative brand approach where they can be they can participate with the brand to build the brand along with the brand, which is a more of a dialogue approach where you involve the audience as a part of the brand building and as a part of the business building. So these are the 2 big differences which we thought we could bring to this space. So Then we started looking at different brand names, and very similar to what Dipali was saying, we had a long list of brand names and we kept cutting them down. We had some external help. We had a consultant helping us think through some brand names, brand positioning, taglines. But when we came across Pilgrim, something struck, because it resonated well with our brand positioning, which was, we will bring you and take you to different locations across the world. So Pilgrim, in the regular sense of the word, will typically be in the religious sense, where you are traveling in the search of truth in the religious context. Here we are looking for truth, but in the context of beauty and wellness. That's the only difference. There is no religious connotation here to the brand. But as a brand, we thought the brand name immediately stuck to us. We spoke to consumers, we bounced around the name. Everybody seemed to like the name. And that's how we kind of launched Pilgrim. The company was incorporated August 2019, and we did a small friends and family round then. We were ready with our products and everything in March 2020, which is exactly the time frame. Modi ji came on TV and said, why don't you sit at home for a few months? And we were all very disappointed because we had just about started listing on the various platforms, and our website had gone live. And then March, April until early May, we were sitting at home, quote unquote researching, because there was nothing else to do. So we used to look at different YouTube videos of what the experts were talking about, and not do much really. But May onwards, after the market opened out, I think the buying was back with a vengeance, especially in our category. Anybody who stocks could sell them. So we launched at the right time. We happened to be in the category at the right time. And since last May till now, June, and it's been 13-14 months of sales, and we've seen a fairly good traction from our consumers. Our first range was called Secrets of Jeju, which is inspired by the ingredients from Jeju Island: volcanic lava ash, white lotus, yugdugus, ingredients which are not very commonly used in India. That did quite well, and we launched our second range in January, which is 5 months back. That range is inspired by the concept of vinotherapy from France. So vinotherapy as a tradition is fairly big in France, and that is almost non-existent in India as a category and as a concept. So that was the second range we launched. And we continue to add products to both these ranges. And we're also looking at launching more concepts, more geography-based, country of origin-based ranges in the near future. So that's where we are. We had a team of some 7 people till 3-4 months back. We got funded a couple of months back and by Fireside Ventures and Rukam Capital. And we started expanding the team. So now we are a team of 25 people. Another 5 people are joining. So I think we'll be a team of 30 odd people.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing growth. So friends, in case if you have any question, you can raise your hand. I'll bring you on stage and where you can speak up your question. So for both of you, you have a co-founders. So how did you meet your co-founder, and how do you divide the roles that, who will take care of what? Dipali.
My co-founder is a hospitality veteran, and I shared my background. I was a banker and chemistry graduate. Like Anurag, it's a hodgepodge of an education, but people of my generation will relate to it, especially coming from families where you've only primarily seen professionals and not business people. We had only so many options, right? Doctors, engineers, and then for those who couldn't do much, do something and then become an MBA and join a bank. So I think both of us came from kind of that background. And the best thing about our partnership is that we completely complement each other. Whatever I don't know, my partner does. And whatever we both don't know, we are happy to learn and talk to more people and learn it and understand it. So we met professionally. I was with HSBC I worked with HSBC for over a decade. And it's very interesting how through a client I met Milan, and then we've been friends for over 10, 11, 12 years, and it's a very interesting partnerships. You see a lot of startups with husband wives. You see startups where there are college friends or school friends, they get together कि भैया कुछ करना ही है साथ में, नौकरी नहीं चलेगी हमसे, there are, but ours is a very unique partnership, and I don't think we've ever spoken about it because we never asked. It's not one of those stories. We became friends when we were adults, working professionals, and today I don't think there can be a better partnership in that, where we complement each other in so many ways. And he has his Gen Z kids. I have my little girl growing up, and both of us are equally passionate about what we do. and what we are creating. And both of us believe that, we are triggering a movement, and both of us, how typically founders are, we think that we're changing the world, but both of us believe in that. So it's been amazing.
Brilliant. Anurag, what's your story? Like, you knew your co-founder?
No, actually, so when I was starting my new venture, I actually reached out to many of my friends, family, and told them I'm looking for a co-founder. So it was almost like a headhunting the proper. I told a lot of people, and then one of my friends who runs a tech agency called Growisto. In fact, both the co-founders are very close friends, and I used to advise them on small things here and there on the strategy side. So I had told them also that if you find somebody who could potentially be a co-founder, and I had no criteria, honestly. The only, so sometimes people look for, complementary skills, or sometimes people get lucky like Deepali where they happen to find complementary skills. I wasn't looking for any of that. I said, let me find somebody who I can, who's passionate and who I can work well with. And somebody who's, good with tech, data analytics will be a plus to have, but not necessary. And most of my networks, given my own background, tend to be in, more IIT, IIM kind of space. So that was a natural kind of network I went out to. So when so Pritesh, who runs, Growisto, who's a co-founder of Growisto, he kind of reached out and he said one of my batchmates is looking out, and he was doing a startup which hasn't worked out too well. So Gagan, who's my co-founder, he's from IIT Bombay as well, 2013 batch. And you will see this typically, across IITs that, 10 batches here and there, 5 batches here and there, there are random connects which happen, and then people get chatting. And Gagan and me started talking, and in the first call, I made a very hard pitch. So I consider myself a sales guy. You give me anything, I'll sell. It comes very naturally to me. If you tell me, there is no sales required, even then I'll go and sell. So I made a hard pitch of, why what I was doing was the next big thing. And then Gagan said, okay, send me some industry reports, this, that, which later on he told me he never bothered to open. I sent him a lot of data, market research. He said, when I spoke to you, I thought you were passionate. The one criteria I had was he should not ask for a salary. That was one criteria I had. Ki koi salary mangne wala to nahi hai paise. I was clear we were doing a seed round. I said that seed round is not going to go into the founder's salary. So anybody who had a high need for family expenses, let's say, if it was somebody who needed to take care of the expenses, I said, we will not be able to work out because we were not raising a large round. So Gagan was very clear. He called up and said, nahi yaar, kuch zero pay chalega. I said, kitna kharcha hai? The number he quoted was so low because he was a bachelor then. I said, nahi, itna to business se le sakte hai. If your expenses are so low, then don't worry. Don't need to dip into your savings so early. And so many of those things kind of struck a chord, and Gagan and me met a couple of times. We had some, usual founder kind of stake split discussions. What happens if I die? What happens if he dies? That kind of discussion. We put it down in an agreement. The one or two learnings, I've had from the ecosystem is that you try and document whatever you discuss early on. So that what documentation allows is basically, everybody knows what you've discussed. Otherwise, verbal, discussions could be of different kinds. So that's how Gagan and me got chatting. Incidentally, it so turned out that while Gagan has no professional training in brand, he's very passionate about brands. And his attention to detail is 10x of what my attention to detail is. So many of the things which I would normally have done, it so happens that he is doing it right now. So we end up splitting, till 3 months back, we didn't have the luxury of, how we split responsibilities. 7-member team. So everybody, our accounts person used to sit and do HTML coding for landing pages, right? So because she had learned HTML, we discovered later on after she joined. So there was no hard responsibility division, but now, there is a little more structure which is falling into place. There was one question on chat saying, how do you plan to go global for Pilgrim? So, there are a lot of markets which are fairly similar to India, especially in Southeast Asia. That is one. Second, then there are the other more evolved markets like a UK or a US, which are very obvious opportunities. And there are definite plans for Pilgrim to go there, but not in the near immediate future. I'll say we will wait out probably a few more months, a few more quarters before we enter these markets, and it will be one market at a time. So we'll go to one market, take some time because every market will have its learnings. We'll make our mistakes, we'll learn, we'll make sure that we have done the basics right, and only then we'll look at a third market. But next 2-3 quarters, we're not looking at any global expansion immediately.
Yep. Awesome. So we'll take a couple of Hardik and Abdullah. I have enabled you to speak up. Hardik, can you ask your question? And please ask the question, not the comment.
Okay. So hi Anurag, thank you for what you just mentioned. So I believe you started your sales after the first wave, when the first wave ended. So I mean, and you mentioned that you secured some funds few months back. So I mean, it is practically like after 6 to 7 months of your first initial sales, you started looking for funds, right? So I just want to understand that what the investors look out. I mean, if you can list out first 3 things when you started looking for the funds, because I believe the stage that I am mentioning, it is the same stage that we are into. That's why I'm asking this.
So I'll just clarify, Hardik, we had done our first fundraise, which was a friends and family round. Right?
Okay.
So it was people who liked us, who gave us money, not for the business reasons, but for personal reasons. This was in October, November 2019.
Okay.
Yeah. Our next fundraise happened after 1.5 years, which is 3 months back.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were doing a run rate of around 55-60 lakhs a month then. And there are different benchmarks which investors look at when they are looking at investments. But I think a couple of things which all investors will look irrespective of who they are is one, do they like the space? So do they like, so if we are in the D2C beauty category, one, do they like D2C? Because not all investors will invest in D2C, while there is a lot of excitement right now. And do they like beauty as a category? So that is the first check they'll do. Second, they will see whether they like the founders as people, right? Because this is almost like a marriage where, so, I was late on this call 10-15 minutes because our monthly catch-up call with our investors was happening from 4:30 to 6 o'clock, right? And we do this very frequently. There are informal chats, while there are structured mechanisms. So both sides have to really like each other. Otherwise, if you don't enjoy working with each other, then it does not go too far. So do they like you as people? Do they like you as professionals? Do they trust you that if they give you enough money, you can grow the business to a sizable stage? That is the second thing they'll want to look for in a founding team. Then third, they will look at the business metrics. I would think, what are the numbers you're doing? Are the customers happy? What is the kind of team you have? What is the kind of brand thought you have? Specifically, if you're building a D2C brand, people will want to hear your brand vision more than anything else. So what Deepali was pointing out in terms of how she has thought through the brand, very, very unique and differentiated position they have taken, right? The kind of customers they are talking to, almost no other beauty brand does. So these are things which the investors would want, that have you thought through? Why should you talk to a particular customer? What does your brand stand for? In our space, there are close to 500 beauty brands which are there in the market, or maybe more.
Okay.
Yeah. Out of the 500 brands, at least 80 or 100 are doing some reasonable business to talk about. So there is so many beauty brands. Why should you be the one which the investors should bet on when they have the entire 500 beauty brands to choose from which one they want to work on?
Okay.
And this will be true for whichever sector you are, trying to build a business. So these are the 3-4 things which come to my mind with the investors, and they will do reference checks and all of that. They will talk to your past investors, past friends, employees, all of that, because the one big thing they want to make sure is that you are there. You have the capability to build a large business, and you're there in this to fight it out, because there will be ups and downs in a business, but you will fight it out and not, disappear if things don't work out in the short term.
Okay. Thank you.
And Deepali, you have also raised funds from a Singapore.
We have just done the friends and family round where we took money from, like Anurag mentioned, from the people who love us and like the idea. But we are pretty much bootstrapped, and we wanted to reach a particular scale before we raised funds, and we're hoping that by the turn of this year we should be able to achieve that. So yeah, but we've done the drill. I've been on the other side also. So I think Anurag has covered everything. And like you said, there is no dearth of options for these investors today, specifically in the consumer brand space. There are a lot of players. So apart from what your vision is, your whatever the technical numbers are, your gross margins, your COGS and everything, it is important that they're able to see the path to scaling up from here. If they see that, they should be able to then part with the money, which is very dear to them, and will be happy in these monthly meetings. If not, then raising the future rounds becomes more difficult. But all they want to see is growth and and the potential in the founders to be able to persevere through all ups and downs. Because I think it's also technical when it comes to fundraise, but it is not so much. It is about them liking you liking them, the way we work. There has to be this comfort, and the technicalities and these numbers will be secondary. But for them to be able to warm up to what you're doing and to have enough belief to put, to have the skin in your game, that is going to be very, very important.
So Hardik, family to jo hai try to make good friends so that you can do a friends and family now.
हाँ, थोड़ा शुरू में पैसे family and friends ही देते हैं.
Awesome. So one question on that, and we'll move on to the next topic. So you raise funds. So were you actively raising funds, or it's just that since you happen to be in the network and you were having casual discussion and that's it led to it, or was there a conscious effort from you to raise funds? What was that story?
There was an effort. Money doesn't come easy, and even if it is friends and family, no, it doesn't come easy. You have to show them what you are there. They may not ask you what your COGS are, what your gross margins are, or what your projections are, what kind of revenue you're doing now, and what will you be, where will you be at. But they want to see the passion in your eyes. You have to show them that belief, that conviction, and then the money comes in. So yes, we prepared a pitch deck. We had a term sheet. There was a proper process that we followed, even with the friends and family round. And it is not any friend or any family that invests. It is those who believe in your vision and believe in your idea who will invest. So you may have a lot of friends, a very big family, but maybe 5 to 10% out of that group of people will ultimately put money, in your business. Yep. So yes.
Awesome.
I don't know how it was for Anurag, because I think certain communities are very strong. So if he belongs to an IIM community of friends, then they would really be happy to kind of back up any business idea. And theirs was exceptional. So it would be interesting to know how their friends and family round was raised.
Yes. And does it become awkward that on friends you are discussing on certain things and then you're talking about terms of money?
The awkwardness comes in the questions. ये बताओ मेरे ये 100 रुपए 500 कब बनेगा? Those are the awkward questions. But otherwise,
yes, Anurag.
No, so I'm with Deepali. Money doesn't come easy. Obviously, the IIM network helps a lot. Interestingly, different people from different walks of my journey have invested. So, some of my batchmates from IIT have invested. Some of my batchmates from IIM have invested. My job, which was at Tata Administrative Services, some of those people have invested. Some of my batchmates from there. Some of the people who I met in the building where I stayed, they have invested. Some of the vendors who worked with me in my previous ventures, the vendors have invested with me. So I think it's also about, the kind of network you have managed to, I've worked for the
credibility that you could build.
Yeah, so I think I have a slightly larger network than if I was just starting out 15 years back. My network was very, very limited. Today, probably a few more people know me than what it was 15 years back. That would happen with time for almost any professional.
Yep. And for both of you, in 2019, that's where you started this current brand of yours. So what was that hypothesis that you had at then, which didn't turn out to be true in 2021? Or what are those specific changes that you had to make in terms of you approach the business or your business model? Anything that you can share on that?
I can go on and on this because you make more mistakes. At least we made more mistakes. There were more misses than there were hits. And this is very interesting. So we made a few assumptions. The first one was that our go-to market has to be digital, physical retail plus digital from the word go. We along with building our online distribution, we started spending on building offline infrastructure. Little did we know that offline retail means a lot of capital investment, means a lot of infrastructure, and more than anything else, it needs you to spend on ATL. I mean, you need TV and TV ads, and you need a brand ambassador, and you need all the pump and show for retailers to be able to sell your brand. So that was the one big mistake which we made. And given a chance, I first tell everybody, if you are building a brand, don't do that. You waste a lot of money. So we had to stall that, pull back, because modern trade is where we are present today. But we started with GT as general trade for those who, for those who are like me when I started out. I didn't know what all of this was. But any new niche brand cannot thrive in GT without these kind of spends. So we had to pull back operations within the first year. This was the most expensive mistake that we made. We understood that we have to be physically present, but I'll give you an example. Like there are retail stores, and because I come from Delhi, I will be only able to give an example from here. I could do that for Bombay as well. But let's say there is a Malcha Marg, which is central Delhi. There will be a retail outlet there. There will be one at Patparganj. There will be one at Noida. And the product mix at all of these beauty stores and grocery stores will be very different. So you have to be very mindful of the location. You have to be present physically, but it has to be a modern trade outlet, because that is where my consumer is. And it has to be very location specific. Big learning. Never do that. Initially, with whatever little money one has, it's best to scale up digitally. There will come a stage when you will have to go digital, unless you have that pot of money in the beginning to be able to do everything that it requires to be physically retailing and be successful. Today, Super Smelly is present at WH Smith. You'll find us at certain key airports like Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Bangalore. We do very well there. We are present at Modern Bazaar and Krishna Marsh, all these, Dabur New You. We're doing very well there. But there was a lot of learning that came at a certain expense, post which we understood that this is the way forward. Yeah. So that was one. I can go on, but let's hear it
yes,
from
Anurag. Yes, sir. वो बोलते हैं ना कि
Come back to
अकल
me. I'll give you
बदाम
more.
खाने से नहीं, ठोकर खाने से आती है.
बहुत ठोकरे हैं, और I'll tell
आपने
you.
कौन सी ठोकरें खाई, अनुराग?
Deepali, I feel your pain if you went to GT. I've been there, thankfully not at Pilgrim, but early days. In previous businesses, I've done GT, MT, beauty shops, wholesalers.
Oof.
I would still not dare go there at least for next 2 years.
Yes.
You are a very courageous woman, I must say. If you are still continuing MT, I would dare not touch offline for some time now. No, but I think for us, it has been a mixed. It has been a learning on everything. So like I was telling you, I get a little structured when I start looking at learnings also. So we discovered pricing. How if we launch 8-9 products, 2-3 of them were bang on pricing. 2-3 of them were overpriced. 2-3 of them, no, I don't think we underpriced anything. We either overpriced or we right priced. So we learned, that every subcategory in beauty has a different price point at which it operates, and there are very unique peculiarities of why it. So a face wash typically for a D2C brand will operate in this 200-250 rupees. Our face wash is still at 300-350 rupees, and there are reasons of why we are not able to lower price and why people are. So every subcategory in beauty will have a typical price point at which the market for D2C is there. And I'm not even talking FMCG. So, a Dove and a Pond's and a Lakme will sell at $80 for a face wash. But for D2C, there is a separate price point which is there. Now, this is different for a face cream, for a night cream, for a face serum. And you need to start understanding how each of these price points behave. So we made mistakes there. We made mistakes on how packaging behaves, right? So there are packaging which can be very beautiful, but which is not scalable. So our first set of packaging was a double box. I don't know how best to explain it, but it was a double box. It came out very well, but very complex to execute and scale. And we went back to a single box and we said, नहीं ये क्या है सब ये बड़े लोग ना ये मेहनत नहीं करना चाहते हैं. बाद में हमें समझ नहीं आया नहीं वो हो ही नहीं सकता है. We got scale double box, it's a nightmare. So we learned that on the packaging front. We learned a fair bit on how marketplace listings work. Our listings kept getting banned, our listings would not go live, and so many other things. We learned how to talk to customers. So I would say that every single point there has been a learning. Thankfully, we did not blunder on any of the parameters, I will say. I think a major setback happens when, if there are 10 things which you are trying to do and 1 or 2 things, you go completely wrong. I think we had learnings, but we were very fortunate that we did not go 2 on 10 or 0 on 10 on any of those parameters. God was very kind. It was nothing to do with our intelligence or experience. We just got lucky that where we were bad, we were 5 on 10. Where we were good, we were probably 7 on or 8 on 10. Any of the parameters. So, my fundamental belief in business building is that don't screw up anything. even if you're not doing something phenomenally right in the early days, it is fine. You will probably survive because you will keep learning, you will keep improving. But if you screw up one parameter very badly, let's say if you screw up packaging very badly and the bottles are broken when the product reaches the customer, we screw up the product quality and the customer doesn't like the product, we screw up the pricing and nobody picks up the product at all. You screw up one parameter very badly and that it hits the business, and takes you back.
Correct.
And sometimes recovery might be difficult. But if you just do the basics right, nothing phenomenally well, you have a chance to improve, learn, and take it on from there.
Yep. Abdullah has asked a very good question. Have you ever have you reached bankrupt situation during this development? And bankrupt ideally nahi hona chahiye, but
Was it directed at me?
so what was the most difficult move? Any specific anecdote you can share? This particular point was the most challenging one, and how did you come out from that?
Sure. So like Anurag said, don't go zero on anything, right? The advantage of a small business is you can be nimble-footed. You gauge 3 months, this is not working out. You can claw back everything, all the mistakes, and then restart or modify or remodel. So we continue to do that. And that's the model we follow. Specifically on pricing, that's the biggest challenge in D2C. And I'll just add a little there. What happens is when you're starting a venture, you get in the trap of MOQs. So when you are not manufacturing it yourself, the third-party manufacturer will want you to order a larger quantity for him to be able to match the cost of goods and services, COGS, of your product. And that is a very big decision to make. You think that you want the unit economics to work, so the COGS have to be in control. But the moment you take, let's say, a big batch of products, what are you going to do with all the inventory if something goes wrong? If the price point was wrong, if the packaging was wrong, if there is customer feedback that, this is not working, how do you then be nimble-footed? How do you then turn it around? So that is one big learning. Always, do not succumb to that pressure. Even if you are not able to control the COGS when your scale is small to the extent that you would want it to be, like Anurag said, you will not be perfect initially. Carry on. Take the right decision. Maybe do a smaller batch. Get the COGS right to whatever extent you can. Because when you get proof of concept, you arrive at a minimum viable product and a minimum viable model, you will be able to scale. Your order will be bigger. Your raw materials cost will come down, and economies of scale will kick in. So, because the expectation of any D2C brand is that there will be discounting. You will participate in the big Amazon sale. You will have to, even if you are at a certain price premium, you're expected to give certain discounts. And then with other aggregators, while on your website, you have a lot more control, but you have to be present on Amazons and Flipkarts where there is a commission involved. And all of that put together, if again, your unit economics doesn't work out, what are you then scaling up? You want a profitable business at the end of the day. So pricing is a challenge that one has to be, cognizant of and work it out. The other challenge, which because Anurag and team have been very technically sound, I don't know whether they faced it or not, but social media advertising is also becoming very expensive. You will hear of unusual KPIs like reach, impression. You will pay for it, but what are you looking at? You're looking at conversion. So when you're driving, return on ad spends, ROAS, and you hear things like reach, impressions, etc., you're baffled. And as a business, as a good business person, all you're looking at is conversion. So you have to be mindful of your spends, right? So you have to keep that in control. One has to understand the technicality of optimizing that. So that is a typical challenge of our space, and a lot of us grapple with it, but again, we don't arrive at zero, don't go bankrupt. We figure it out.
Yeah. It's 6:48. We will finish at 7. So try to, both of you, try to answer in 1 or 2 lines so that we can cover more questions.
That's a tough one. You see how much we talk, both of us. I used to think, okay, I am verbose. Anurag also talks a lot. Okay.
So Anurag, one specific anecdote of the most challenging situation.
I think the lockdown was the most challenging part, Jatin, where we were not clear when it will open. So somebody very senior from the industry had once told me, entrepreneurs are not scared of a liability or something going bad. They are scared of uncertainty. and this I faced at different points of time, and this line keeps coming back to me. If there is a loss which has to happen, I think most entrepreneurs will take it in their stride, but you should know what quantum. If the quantum is not clear, that is what that uncertainty is killing. So that 2-month period was very disturbing for us. Otherwise, I think we've been very fortunate in many ways. The entire ecosystem has been very, very helpful, kind. God has been kind. While so many bad things have happened to the country and the economy, our sector, both Deepali and me have tremendously benefited by being in the right sector.
That's right.
Awesome. There is a question for me. So what was your motivation to bring Ichai, and do you still follow your passion of cricket? So so I was always the one who would have, who were part of multiple friends groups. So I was always the one bringing people together. And luckily in 2009, there was a wave of entrepreneurship coming towards. So we started Ichai literally at a tea stall that, people would come together, share their ideas. And luckily after 12 years, it has become a business. So I enjoy doing that. And we started those meetups in hosting in 15 countries. So that was also an interesting journey for us. And so we play cricket a lot. So now that Ichai is a startup network, so we do those founder startup cricket tournaments. And due to pandemic, we are not scaling that up, but hopefully when the situation gets better, we will do that also. So I'm able to follow both my passion, that in bringing people together, startups and sports. Malav has asked the question, social media is one of the main acquisition channels for D2C. Can you share your insights on organic or inorganic side growth of it, or your process of maximizing your returns on social media? So any anecdote or a specific insight you may want to share based on your use of acquiring users through social media? Deepali.
So there are two parts. One is awareness and the other is acquisition. Being in early stage, our focus has always been acquisition. We don't really have the awareness money. So which means on social media, our primary focus has always been on education. And the second, whatever content we create, it should be able to generate sales. And therefore, any UGC or any influencer content in form of videos or in form of statics that we produce and we have generated so far has solely been focused on acquisition, which means there will be coupon codes, there will be education, and there'll be use of the product shown. Because when you're doing these niche products, for example, we make this flaxseed hair gel. It doesn't cause graying. It doesn't lead to hair fall. Styles has strong hold. But how do I tell all of this to somebody? So short video content through certain not very expensive people, but regular influencers, because people like me and so many of us, we relate to people who are not porcelain beauties but look like us, like regular people. And then we use that content to spread awareness, but also to acquire. I think that's really worked well for us. The blog route or this kind of content, all these routes that we've tested have worked well for us.
Yeah. Anurag?
I think Deepali has covered well. Jatin, we should move on to something else. Not much new stuff I will add there.
Yeah. So we want to do a rapid fire. So if you can go back in time and if you meet yourself, what would be your advice to yourself? Who was just starting
quit
up?
social media as soon as possible. I deleted my Facebook account 2 years back. I should have done it 5 years back.
Yes, on Twitter also you just have
I have a Twitter account for which I don't know my password. The only social media which I use is Instagram, because I need to keep updated with the trends, but I have not added any friends. I don't have a photograph there, so if you go and search for me, you will not find me. But LinkedIn ends up taking a little bit of time because I have started getting a lot more messages now. But I need to organize myself better. I could be spending a lot less time on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. That's a very difficult.
My younger days, there was no social media, there was no Instagram. So all I want to tell my younger self is that there is no time for it. There's no timing. We grow up thinking that if you want to be an entrepreneur, 20s is the best time to do it. To get married, this is the best time to do it. And now we look at these graphs and numbers. Within 4 years, this company they're churning out a revenue of 100 crores. But there is another one within 2 years they were able to get to 100 crore figure. Guys, this is all noise. Your journey is going to be unique to yourself. Your mistakes are going to be unique. There is no template. Every business is going to be very different. You will make different mistakes no matter how many Deepalis and Anurags give you gyan on what is right and what should you do. your journey is unique, your timing is going to be unique. There is no right age, there is no right idea. Ideas come very easy. Today ideas are easy to come by, but it's your perseverance and your ability to not go to zero, like he said. Keep turning it around and keep believing in it and enjoy the journey. These 100, 200, 500 crore aspirations are fantastic. Be after it, but don't time it.
Correct. Yeah. And if everything happens the way you imagine it would be, in that case, what would Super Smelly be?
I want to be Super Smelly. I think will be a brand that will be a market leader in the space that we are trying to create. We're creating a category, and I think we've taken up a huge responsibility. So people should hear Super Smelly and they should just know that this is a brand for youth, India, abroad, wherever we take the brand to. So that's what I visualize it to be. In terms of numbers, like I said, I'm not quoting anything, but it'll be nice to be where we think we want to be, because the potential is huge. We are looking at within the niche category also. We are looking at a very big market. Nothing less than 1,500 crores for our space, clean beauty itself. So I think the potential is huge, and we really want to be market leaders of this space.
Awesome. Anurag, what would Pilgrim be if everything happens the way you imagine it would be?
Yeah, so like Deepali, I'll stay away from quoting any numbers, while there is a number which I keep chanting every day to myself.
Manifesting it.
But I think the more important part is two things. One is brand love. If any Pilgrim user should be in love with the brand. I think that's what our larger aspiration is, and we should be known for innovation. If we are able to achieve these two things, I think we'll be happy with in terms of where the brand goes.
Okay, and entrepreneurship has the highs are high, lows are low. You are resourceful, but sometimes we have to take favors from our friends or the people we know. Which is the most recent favor you had to ask from someone?
Every day. So I am sitting right now. You see a blurred background because I'm sitting in my kids' room, right? And I've been using this for the last 1.5 years. I don't have an office at my home. Either it's the bedroom and there is the hall where my wife is working, and that is also the living room, right? So I'm taking a favor from my kids every single day, right this moment. So they're kind enough, and so I have now pretty much, Besharam and thick skin and all of that. I'm very. Okay. So if I need something from Deepali now that I kind of met her, I'll just pick up the phone and call her and say, Deepali,
that's how we all survive. I also come from a sales background, and the only thing that sales teaches you is to be shameless, right? Keep asking.
Yes, you have to be a good salesman. So I have a few more questions, but Abdullah has asked, I'm facing huge amount of loss in conversions. Please motivate me to keep going. So any motivating words for Abdullah from your side? He's facing losses, and not just he, people like me also.
So generic might not help. What I will really encourage Abdullah is to go and find mentors who can empathize with you much better, your space, your exact problem. I have always fallen back on my support system. The 2-3 things which have really helped me, and see, all of us undergo a lot of stress. So there is no denial that there is stress happening, right? And mental health is a big chatter now anyways. How I have survived the stress and I continue to survive stress is on the basis of 2-3 things. One, I meditate for 45 to 50 minutes every single day of my life, almost without fail. I would do it 28 to 29 days out of 30 days. In fact, now I have started taking 2-minute breaks every 2 hours, all of that, to again close my eyes and just take a few deep breaths. Second, a social support system. So I happen to be fortunate that I have a few friends who stay in the same building who are also entrepreneurs. I just go and vent out my frustrations and let them vent out their frustrations. And we are able to find solace in each other's issues and problems, and are able to act as bouncing boards. And then I do it virtually with other people who are not there, physically to meet up. So I think social support system, and then there are mentors who are able to guide on the larger issues or specific issues. I also happen to be very fortunate that our investors are very, very hands-on and technically savvy. So if I go and ask them that, yaar, Facebook mein kya pad raha hai, 500 rupaye ho gaya, ki 400 hona chahiye, ki 600, they actually are able to point in the right direction. But if I didn't have the investors, I'll have somebody else. I'll go and figure out who's that right guy to tell me Facebook ka kaise kam karna hai, Amazon ki listing kaise optimize karni. You need a lot of mentors in your life. depending upon whatever specific problems you're facing.
Correct. It's 6:59. We want to finish at 7. I wanted to ask a lot many questions, but probably we would have a repeat one after some time. So the last question is, as a founder, you all, so which is the most recent thing that you can share that you really put specific effort to learn that?
Oh, you have to learn all the time. You got to almost anything. So digital performance. Now all these CACs and CPCs and CTRs and CPMs, this was all Greek to me. I had to really learn it. I mean, and to the point that I realized that maybe it is not important what your product is. You have to understand performance first if you're building a digital brand. And therefore, it is always very important to keep upskilling. If you come from that background, very good. If not,
last 30 seconds, because I want to ask one more question. Anurag, what is that something that you really put conscious effort to learn?
So every aspect of the business there have been learnings, like packaging. 300 GSM और 250 GSM के पेपर में क्या फर्क होता है? Metallic, and this is something Deepali will relate to completely.
Okay.
Anurag,
7 p.m. and I want to ask a last question. Yeah. So ending this Zoom call is very tricky. So what we do, a moment a last person answers the question, I immediately close the call. So Deepali, you will be the last. So the question is, if you were to describe your entrepreneurial journey in 1 or 2 words, what would that be, Anurag?
Fun.
Awesome. So the fun is taken. Deepali, you cannot take that word. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And the moment Deepali answers, I'll close the call.
My reason of existence. Raison d'être.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And hopefully we can meet in person.